Oh, hello. We're back. We're back to preview the Manchester City game. It is the Spion Kop podcast. My name's Peter Bolster, and I have Christopher Griffiths-Gripton. I think it's safe to say, Chris, that when we think of the magnitude of this fixture of Liverpool versus Manchester City at Anfield, February, we're going into a massive title challenge. If you think back to the summer, it's quite a different story. It's completely different than what we would have envisaged earlier in the season, but we are where we are. But still, going into this game this weekend, it still feels very, very big for both of us.
Yeah, it's a massive game. It's absolutely huge, but it's huge for reasons that we didn't expect at the beginning of the season, unfortunately. So, I mean, in terms of very quickly, the importance for City is to keep within that challenge of Arsenal, because if they lose, then, with Arsenal win, it's
the likelihood is it'll be 9 points gap because Arsenal play Sunderland at home. You expect them to win that.
Of course, you expect. So that's a big game on their behalf. And then, but more importantly for us, it's absolutely huge. We can't afford to be dropping any points, not even a draw. It has to be a win. It's got to be a win. We're currently sitting in sixth in the league. There's no option. We have to get into them Champions League spots. So it's big for both teams. But as I say, it's massive for reasons that we didn't expect from the summer.
Points per game wise, when you finish in the top four, and the likelihood is it will be the top five this season, you don't have to win. So then the data would argue against your statement there, Chris. But on the other hand, is this a must win just because of the psychological effect it'll have on the rest of the season?
I think it's both. I think it's absolutely both. I mean, we're coming off the back of two good results. We want to see that continue now. What we don't want to see is another situation where we have a good performance or two and then we take a step back. So I think in that side of things, in terms of the mentality of the players and getting a bit of confidence in there, keeping it going, it's absolutely massive. But I also think it's massive for the points as well, Peter. We're sixth in the league. If we don't win and we drop further points, it just each week it gets more and more and more difficult. We're already suffering major injuries. If we pick up another injury or two before the end of the season, where's it going to take us?
Well, it certainly is a difficult situation for Liverpool if they don't win. Just think about the mentality of it. Both sides have only won one game in the last five. Liverpool last week got the first win of 2026. Okay, albeit it was still January, but it still felt like a long January, didn't it? There was plenty of games where we should have really won. We finally did get the 3 points. And that's off the back of the Karabakh game, which you've just referred to, which was a nice result at Anfield and a nice attacking display. But the week before was Bournemouth. So getting beat or failing to win on Sunday will set us back a little bit. Manchester City, though, again, equally patchy form. Bit mentally weak, I'd say. They look very, very good in patches. They just made the League Cup final. They are within touch and distance of Arsenal. For me personally, because I'm quite confident, despite some of the trepidation that I'm talking about here, I'm quite confident Liverpool will beat Manchester City. Watching them over the past few weeks, coming into this weekend, they've never beaten Liverpool under Guardiola with fans. So the last time Manchester City came to Anfield and rocked up and won the game was 2003. Nicholas Anelka scored. I mean, I remember him. We should have signed him, by the way, shouldn't we? That's another show. But it is also Pep Guardiola's 1000th game. And the one thing, Chris, he has never done. He's never rocked up at Anfield. And like I just said, won with fans in there.
No. It's, as I say, it's a massive game. You can't write City off. They're a good team and they want to turn up. You've got to go into this game with confidence. You've absolutely got to, because we're coming off the back of two good performances. As you've just said, City are going to patchy form. They're not the team that they used to be. And I think I don't see a reason why we can't turn up and play good, intense football. We need to come out at the beginning of this game, not the way we did against Newcastle. We need to come out and we need to say to them, make a statement very early on from the very first kick of the ball. is this is our home. You're not going to dictate to us. We're going to dictate to you how this game's going to go. And that's what we need to do.
It's something that we haven't done over previous fixtures, is it? Me personally, I've really struggled with that. If we go back to the game at the Etihad, that week in particular was a defining week for how Liverpool's season's gone. We had a brilliant game against Aston Villa at home, followed up by, for me personally, was the best game of the season, was against Real Madrid. It was a fantastic performance. And we done exactly what you just said, Chris. We imposed ourselves. We made Anfield feel like Anfield. That fear factor certainly has gone over the past few weeks against teams like Leeds United, even Wolves. People brush over the fact that we beat Wolves. In the second half, that was worrying for me, and that was the beginning of a bit of poor form, that second half. You've had Leeds, like I've just said, you've had Fulham away, you've had Burnley at home. There's too many games that Liverpool haven't started correctly at Anfield.
Absolutely. I mean, it's most games. It's most games we haven't started correctly. We've played like an away team to begin with. We've had to wait to settle on the ball and then try and impose ourselves. And sometimes it's come too late in the game in these results, and that's why we're sitting in the league where we are now. Now we've done exactly the same against Newcastle, but thankfully, in that game we managed to only fall one goal behind and turn on the class enough and the intensity enough that we can actually score the goals that we did. We've mentioned in a previous episode that the link up between Wirtz and Ekitike in that game was absolutely phenomenal. So if we can turn up and do that from the first kick of the game against City, if them two, Wirtz and Ekitike, can play the way they did for the last hour of the Newcastle game, if the defence can manage Haaland out of the game the way they've managed to on a few occasions, City are a normal team, and this could go either way. We could get a handful against them if that team turns up.
It's a good point there about Haaland, because City have been labelled as that side. Very ordinary, good side, but Haaland makes them something else, doesn't he? He missed a penalty against us early in the season. We sort of got away with that one, and then we didn't learn our lesson. And it seems to be the pattern of the season where you're like, bloody hell, we just got away with that one. Shut up shop, or make sure we play the ball a bit more direct. And it's like, no, we don't really learn from our mistakes there. And next minute, it's a goal. It was a bit fortunate when Haaland scored. I think it come off his shoulder in the end, which was really fortunate. But still, Manchester City signed a couple of players. Now, Semenyo started on fire for them. He's banging in goals. He was linked with us. I don't know if that was a real link, because he seems to be a bit more of an inside forward, which I think Arne Slot wants a bit of more of a midfielder wide man. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not sure. Mark Gahey as well will be starting for Manchester City, I'm pretty sure. So there's a few interesting battles coming up, and City are a little bit different than they was pre-January, and they might be just formulating a bit of a better and more stronger side now. Yeah.
With regards to Gahey, we've obviously come up against Gahey in fixtures before as previous club. A defensive player, the game doesn't really change for them. So the one it comes down to is that we'll probably see the same Gahey that we've seen time and time again before. In terms of Semenyo, that is the one to watch, obviously. I've just mentioned Haaland. You're right with Semenyo. He is the one to watch because we're not seeing him against us in the City team. He is the player where, depending on players around him, how they perform, he's the one that the game could change for the player that we've seen at his previous club. So yeah, it's certainly going to be an interesting one. But I still think the main man, which we need to be watching, is Haaland, and if we can manage him out of the game the way we've done in the past, I think they're there for the taking for us. We need the fans to turn up. We need it to be the atmosphere needs to be one of them special European nights. which we've come accustomed to over the years. And if the fans turn up and do that side of the job, it's going to be a fortress to come to. It's going to be very difficult. Just to go back to the corresponding fixture where you mentioned about Haaland, there was obviously controversy in that game as well, where the goal was given offside against Andy Robertson, very controversially. That could have changed that fixture. Now, when you've got a team who is already down a little bit, we're not performing the way we should, we're lacking a bit of confidence, that goal could have changed that fixture. We'll never know, but it could have changed that fixture. And when something like that goes against you, does it affect the mentality of the players? And we've ended up in a position we're in that result.
Quite possibly. I think Liverpool fans didn't make too much of it because of the manner of that first half. We were so poor. When I think back to that week going into the City game, I wanted to see a performance. I wanted to see some identity and like a proper performance like we did against Real Madrid. It was less about the results. I sort of accepted that going into that fixture that we might end up on a 2-1 defeat or so on. And I was fine with it as long as we put in the performance. And Liverpool were shocking. And I think it's difficult to make an argument about if that was critical in the game when the next fixture was Nottingham Forest at home and we got spanked 3-0. So I think Arne Slot points to these things, but for me personally, I'd like a manager to be coming out and not talk too much, because he spoke about it this week as well. I think that's why it's in our heads. I don't want him talking about that. I don't want him talking about things that went against us a few months ago. I feel like, come on, get on with it, move on. Liverpool needed to be better in that game. They needed to be better in that second half. We was in that initial 10 minutes. And then we sort of faded out. But the only other one I want to talk to you about is Jeremy Doku. So he was exceptional in that game. I think he got man of the match in the end. He's missing this weekend. So I think that is really key for Liverpool, especially in the full-back area, Chris, because we are missing Conor Bradley now. We're missing Jeremy Frimpong for at least the next couple of weeks. So the likelihood is we're going to have a midfielder going back in there. And then there's the choice between Robbo or Kirkes. So in that full-back area, are Liverpool solid enough for this fixture only? We're not talking about the rest of the season. How do you feel about that one?
Oh, that's a difficult one. It's it depends what City team turn up. I would suspect that Robbo would start. In my opinion, Robbo should be starting this game. We need that experience in there. We need to keep them quiet, not give them a sniff. We need to take the game to them. And we need that experience of the senior player that he is, I think, in my opinion, there. The difference with Doku not being there, it's going to be huge.
What about the legs, though? Because it's quite clear that Robertson definitely plays the system really well. And when I say that, and I'm going to contradict myself now, Kirkes is actually playing the system how Slot wants to play. I think when I say that, when I'm talking about Robertson looks like Liverpool's left back because I've been watching him for that long. When he plays, it sort of makes more sense to me, certainly going forward. But his legs are definitely not what he was. Now, I don't think he's a poor player, but he clearly can't keep up with the demands of the Premier League, some of these quick wingers, because he still will have Renders. Is it Renders how you pronounce it? He's a frightening footballer. He looks very quick. They've got some menu, like you said. They've got some fantastic footballers still playing in those wide areas. So Robertson's legs do concern me in a fixture like this.
I get why you say that. I think the thing is, though, okay, maybe not for the 90 minutes, but if you bring him on for the first 60, 70 minutes, I mean, that's the reason I think we don't see him playing game after game after game. It's very rare, if at all, this season that he's played one game after the other. It seems to be swapped and changed a little bit. I would like to think that Slot's looked at this, in my opinion. He's looked at this fixture, how important this fixture is, how big this fixture is, irrespective of the team's positions in the league, as to what it is anyway, and the quality of City and the rivalry that's there, and had in mind that we're going to save some of Robbo's legs for this game. So if we can get up to 60, 70 minutes out of him, that whole situation then changes, because we should well and truly be into the game by that point. If we're not, then there's issues. There's major issues if we're not into it by that point. And then we can look at changing. If his legs are starting to get the wrong side of him at that point, and he's not doing the job that he did in the first 10 or 15 minutes, that's fine. We can change that. It's not a problem. But I think to start the game and to be positive, we need to have Robbo's experience there as a senior player to start that game.
The other issue is Ibrahim Konate, because again, in that corresponding fixture, it was very apparent that Pep Guardiola and Manchester City allowed him to have the ball at the back. So much so, it was so obvious, and it was like a rabbit in the headlights at points when he was trying to step out of the back four, because he actually had no options to pass the ball. So he had to be the Joel Matip type of player where he stepped out and he didn't have a clue what to do with it. It got worse and worse as the game went on. He got a lot of criticism after that, and it actually killed his confidence. Now, both you and I were very complimentary last week against Newcastle because of the mental aspect of what is facing them right now, and to come back in and help your teammates and put in such a shift and such a performance, by the way. It wasn't just the goal, it wasn't just the fact that he turned up, it was the fact that he performed as well. But I always worry, put that mental aspect aside and what's happened in his private life, just forget about that for a moment, and that is significant, by the way, but just take that out. When a footballer comes in after being out of the team, sometimes they get through the first fixture because of the adrenaline. They get through it through the hype and they put in a real good performance. I always think the danger fixture is the second and third game when they come back, because it's like, oh, this is normal now, and it's not as big as it was last week. And that, to me, concerns me, but it also concerns me about him being on the ball at the back and being struggling to get it out. Will Manchester City do the same thing, do you think?
I think we don't want to see complacency creep in. As soon as complacency creeps in, and I think that's sort of what we're talking about here. After that first or second game, you know that.
Sometimes it's not complacency, it's more the fact that your body has to get used to the Premier League. No, we know Konate wasn't missing for an awful long time, but it's that rhythm. So when you come back in, it's physically demanding, and I don't think it's always complacency. It's concentration and your body at the same time.
I think when you've had a couple of games though after being absent, I think an element of complacency can creep in, and we have seen it with players over the season. So I do think there's an element we have to be careful with him there, that complacency doesn't set in, because he's had a couple of good games. We know he's had poor.
He's only had one game. Back from one game even.
Sorry, one game. Yeah. So we don't want that. Even so, we don't want to see any complacency come off the back of that. Right, I've had a good game now. This is back to normal. We want him to stay sharp. We want him to keep focused on what that situation, and have that same mindset going into this game as what he did against Newcastle. I think it's going to be tough for him. It's going to be tough. He's going to come up against a different class of players. He needs to keep his mind on it. If we have noticed that City approached him in a corresponding fixture in a certain way and he looked like rabbit in headlights, we would like to think that the amount of staff behind the scenes at Liverpool and all the studies that get done, that they've recognised that, and hopefully they've addressed that well in advance of this fixture today, so that we can't allow City to come out and play that same sort of tactic with them, because we should be one step ahead. If we aren't, we need to ask big questions as to why he's being exposed like that. Well,
there's two elements to that, isn't there? One is that I think he was lacking confidence at the time, and I think it got worse as the game went on. So he needs to be a bit more brave in that sense and take responsibility. But the other one is that Dom Szoboszlai will be playing right back, and that will help him as a midfielder, being able to distribute the ball. That will help him get out of the defence. It's another option. If they did play Robertson, I always believe Robertson is better at distributing the ball out of the back four than Kirk is, like you said earlier on. But you said before about the fans. I seen a quote earlier on this morning, Chris, about what Jurgen Klopp said. And when he was leaving Liverpool, one of the quotes in one of his final press conferences was that he didn't make the players believe reminded them that it's important to believe, in the sense that it bloody helps, doesn't it? One, I think Liverpool fans, and I'm putting myself into that, I'm sure you feel the same. When you walk into Anfield recently, I've not believed. It's a bit like, oh, it's the same old story. While it might be too early to say that we've turned the corner, we've only beaten one Premier League side in this calendar year. If we was to beat Manchester City this week, have we turned the corner? But before we turn the corner, do the fans need to just think, hang on a minute, we've seen enough from this week to believe that we're about to turn the corner. This will make it official this weekend. You're playing Manchester City. They are a top side, despite what people are saying about them. The second in the league. And if we win, we're only 5 points behind them, you know.
Oh, absolutely. And that's massive. And that's why it is such an important game. I think I've alluded in previous conversations we've had. There's a massive gap in between the prize money of each place in the Premier League. So not only for the terms of qualifying for Champions League, also financially as well, from the prize money of the Premier League. If we can get up, if we can win, and then we can put the pressure on to get second place, that's a massive amount of money difference from finishing in 5th and 6th place. It's absolutely huge. So it's an off the pitch effect as well. And I think that's also important to remember. It's going to be massive. It's going to be absolutely massive. I can't wait for it. We need the fans. We need them to turn up and give us that special European night. Make this a European night, not a Premier League. The answer to your question, turning a corner, 2 Premier League wins don't turn a corner. You might be on a bend and go in the right direction, but you haven't turned that corner. We need more. We need more quality. We need more intensity. We need more wins. We need more belief to turn that corner. There's a long way to go.
Is this the perfect fixture? Thinking about that, we've beaten top sides this season, including Arsenal, Aston Villa, who've been in their own title race, of course, Real Madrid. We beat Newcastle last week. Is this the perfect fixture for Liverpool to be playing Manchester City, or is it more problematic than you think?
It's always going to be the perfect picture if you win, isn't it? Fixture even, sorry. If you win, it's huge. It's absolutely massive. We need to go out there and we need to believe that we can win. Would it have been a little bit better if it was next week and maybe get another win under our belt? Possibly. But the way the season has gone, there's no guarantee of that. So you could have another fixture before City being next week where if we didn't get the result we wanted, it changes the whole fixture again. So the fact that we're going into this with 2 wins behind us, it probably does make it the perfect fixture. But it's got to be one.
It's probably the perfect fixture for Arne Slot, because he's bemoaned all season that the Premier League is not what he thought it was going to be this season, which to me is a bit bemusing, to be honest with you, the fact that he comes out and says things like that. But Manchester City play good football, so he can't have any complaints. Liverpool have to play good football themselves, really, this weekend, and but the results really matter. I'm just thinking about Alisson in goal now. I think that's obviously nailed on. Of course, he's going to start. But the back four, Chris, I'll go to you and talk me through the back four. Who you think Arne Slot starting, and who would you do anything different?
Well, I've already alluded on a couple there, and I think it's going to be, and I think it should be, Robbo, Van Dijk, Konate. Unfortunately, because of injuries, it's going to be Szoboszlai at right back, I would think. It's a shame that we're taking him out of position because he's one of our best midfielders. But unfortunately, that job needs to be covered, and I think it's going to be him there at the right.
Kerkez, I think, will be the guy who plays. I just think he has massively improved recently. I think he's really settling in. I think his confidence is so much better. I think he came to Liverpool and it was a bit like, oh my God, I need to make it. He was at AC Milan previously and it didn't really work out there. He's gone to Bournemouth, it's worked out. So it's like his second chance at a big club, and he's so eager to get going with the Premier League champions. That's what he's thinking in his head. So I think he's sort of settled down now a little bit. So I think I think Arne Slot will start him.
Yeah, listen, we've seen an improvement in Kerkez, a massive improvement. I was very unsure at the beginning of the season. I still haven't seen everything I want to see from him, but we've certainly seen a massive improvement. But I just feel the fixture tomorrow is going to be too big, and it needs to be Robbo. It needs to be that senior player. What are you feeling about midfield?
Midfield, it's difficult, isn't it? Because it's sort of, I think this is the most complicated one now when you talk about the midfield, because it's where you play Florian Wirtz. So Florian Wirtz, we all know, is the best at number 10. Or maybe like an 8.5 or whatever, even if that's not even a real thing. I've just made it up, so it is now. So with the midfield, for me, if you play Florian Wirtz in a free, you need two who are going to absolute graft. One of them for me is Szoboszlai. So that's where the problem lies. So Szoboszlai is playing right back because we have to play him there. Joe Gomez is only fit enough for the bench, apparently. So there's no option of putting anyone else at right back. So we know Szoboszlai is nailed on to start there. Unless you play Curtis Jones at right back, that might be a possibility. That might confuse people. I'm not sure about that. I think it's just Szoboszlai. That's done. So do you play Florian Wirtz? And is Arne Slot thinking this? Does he play on the left of a free? Is he going to be a false number 9? And maybe put Ekitike slightly left, which might sound mad, because why would you move your best forward out of position? But because he is so good, you might just offer something out there, not completely hugging the touchline, but a bit like a Mane. Because I think Mohamed Salah probably starts, so that I can't see him not starting. So therefore, personally, I would go with Curtis Jones. I'd go with Ryan Gravenberch. I think he has to start. And it's Alexis McAllister. Because if Liverpool are going to win this game, I think they need to be on the ball. I think they need to control possession. I think we've struggled with transition so many times this season. And I'm going to talk about Curtis Jones now, because Curtis Jones, when it comes to the summer, he's got 12 months left. This time last week, many Liverpool fans thought he was on his way to Inter Milan. And the sentiment around that was, he should not be going anywhere. And I know loads of Liverpool fans think he shouldn't go anywhere full stop. They're entitled to their opinion. I think more the problem is the timing of it. I think if he goes in the summer, I think everyone will wish him well. He's been phenomenal for Liverpool. He's been a great servant and played a great part in some great seasons, winning the league at different points, 2022, when we nearly won everything. But I think moving forward, he'll want to establish himself as a proper first team player. I don't think he's ever done that at Liverpool. But right now, Liverpool have got 14 games left. And for me personally, whatever side of the fence you sit on with Curtis Jones, whether he should stay, whether he should go, whether we should get more from him, whether it's enough, he's got a massive part to play. And I think just this weekend, on Sunday against Manchester City, the best player in the team, without a doubt, at keeping hold of the ball is Curtis Jones. The most press-resistant footballer in the team is Curtis Jones. Liverpool, like I just said, are susceptible to transition. Don't give the ball away, lads. Just make sure you're not giving the ball away. And that's why Curtis Jones, for me, has to start. The only other one is that maybe Alexis McAllister doesn't play, and Florian Wirtz does play in that midfield three, and you've got Curtis Jones, you've got Wirtz and Gravenberch, making sure there's a triangle there and they're really defensively solid, in the sense that, when I say defensively solid, they keep hold of the ball, very much like I've just said about Curtis Jones, because Manchester City will break on you. But I don't know if you see the game any different, Chris, in the sense of how Arne Slot will set up. There isn't another made-up midfielder that we forgot about and you can throw in there. He hasn't got a lot of options. It's more about the shape now. Does he still continue with the 4-2-3-1? Is it a false number 9? Wirtz plays. He's played there a couple of times for Leverkusen. Is Salah nailed on to start? I think he is. Will Gakpo play like he always does, or will he be the casualty? I don't know how you see it.
So just to clarify here, we're talking Jones, Wirtz, Gravenberch, and McAllister in the middle.
So you got 3.
So that leaves 2 left.
2 left
to come out with. Who are you thinking down the left, Wirtz?
So I've got a feeling. I don't think he goes left. I don't think he plays there. I think he's going to stay central, and it'll be Ekitike that will drift out there. Not as the left forward in the sense that you've got Sadio Mane there or a Luis Diaz, more than the sense of how Cody Gakpo's been playing. Gakpo, people going about him playing on the left. He gets the ball, he cuts inside. We all know that. When he's cut inside, where is he? He's central, isn't he? So I've just got a feeling Ekitike will occupy that position, and maybe it's the best for us because it keeps Wirtz integral to how we play them.
It keeps Wirtz integral, but if you bring him out more left, it takes away the effect that he had against Newcastle.
Wirtz or Ekitike?
It takes away the effect that Ekitike had against Newcastle if he starts drifting out more left. So then that also then has a knock-on effect to what we're talking about of the link-up between Wirtz and Ekitike. If we're going to go with the four midfielders that you've mentioned there, then Ekitike's got to start. There's no ifs or buts about that. He's got to start. So then we're talking, are we dropping Mo? Or are we dropping Gakpo? One of them has to drop. A lot of people probably won't agree with me based on recent performances and recent conversations. I struggle to see at this moment in time how we can actually, especially in this fixture, how we can drop Salah. That's where I struggle there.
We scored a hell of a lot more goals since he's come back into the team.
Yeah, and again, I touched on a previous episode. What we do see is we don't see him scoring the goals, him personally scoring the goals and doing the same job that he used to do. I'm just going to
jump in there, Chris, because for me, it's a pet hate when, and we all have our opinions, a pet hate when people say about Salah not scoring this season. He had a patchy bit of form. He went missing for 2 months. He's come back and played 2 games or 3 games.
Of course he has.
Yeah, so when we say he hasn't scored the goals, I think he's still our third highest goal scorer in a team that's dysfunctional. So the structure of the team is all wrong. And I'm not like a Mohamed Salah defence case here. I'm just like, hang on a minute. Gakpo's not scoring the same amount of goals. Salah's not scoring the same amount of goals. No one's doing the jobs in the same effect in this current Liverpool side.
No, absolutely. But as I've already touched on in previous episodes, so we're seeing a different job of Salah. Now, we don't know if that's a natural transition. Now he's got that little bit old, and we've spoke about his pace in the past, so we're not going to go over the same thing, or whether he's getting different instructions. But what we still see from him is oppositions know the danger. They know what he can bring. So we see, if he plays down the right, it's very rare that you'll see one-on-one against him. He's dragging a second and a third defender out to him, which is then allowing space in the middle. And I think for that to happen, we need to have Wirtz and we need to have Ekitike playing as a false 9 and through the centre number 9 to get that link up again with the space being created and Salah bringing them defenders out to him. I don't see... I think we have to be positive. We have to take the game to them, and that's the way we have to look at it.
So who plays them?
So for me, it's Ekitike and Salah.
Where does Salah play?
Salah's going to play down the right for me.
Who plays left?
Left would be Gakpo, and I wouldn't start Jones.
You wouldn't start Jones?
No.
Okay, fair enough. McAllister, you think he's the man over Jones?
Yeah, I don't see it consistently enough from Jones.
I've got real concerns over McAllister. I think he's playing a team from... I can't even remember where Karabakh are from now. How disrespectful am I? But I think it sort of proves...
Is it Azerbaijan?
Azerbaijan, yeah. So...
I think.
Yeah, apologies to everyone in Azerbaijan who's not watching, by the way. But yeah, it's when you see players like him leaving him in the middle of the park... I just thought, wow, what are we watching here? And I've seen it over and over again over the past 12 months. He looks like he's stuck in the mud. Against Newcastle, he was really poor. So for me, it's so obvious why Curtis Jones coming to this game. I think we spoke off air before about Scousers grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck. It's not always been Curtis Jones. Jones' skill set to do that, but in a game like this, I think he would be integral to it because he grabs the game by the scruff of its neck by keeping hold of the ball. I think Liverpool need that. They need that composure as well. They need to be calm. Well, you said before, Chris, about the crowd need to be up for it. The players' body need to be up for it. We need to start well. We need to impose ourselves. But we also need to be calm and calm heads and make sure that we're not making stupid mistakes. But I can't wait for it. Sunday, what do you reckon? Score?
Oh, I never predict scores. You put me
Well,
on
you're
the
gonna have
spot.
to.
Yeah, you put me on the spot.
We have no shit houses in here, Chris.
3-1 Liverpool.
3-1 Liverpool.
3-1 Liverpool.
I'm worried that you just said that they're going to score. I reckon 2-0 the Reds. I can't wait for it. Where are you sitting?
Kop.
Kop? I'm stuck in the Annie Roads, which I'm really disappointed about that. We've been screwed over our tickets this season. We are in the cup competitions in the Kop, but at the moment I'm in the Annie Road and really disappointing. Okay, so that's been another episode with the Spion Kop. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please keep sharing our socials, keep liking them, subscribe to our YouTube channel. It doesn't cost anything, sorry. We are going to be on all the podcast platforms. We are on Patreon if you want to support us. So that's it, really. Let's hope we have a great Sunday. Let's hope we wake up Monday and you're back here watching another show and it's a happy one because I can't be bothered with any more misery. Up the mighty Reds.